up-to-date and accurate information. I also want to thank our representatives from FEMA, SBA, and LED for taking time out of their busy schedules to provide us with this valuable information. So again, thank you so very much for joining us. And I am going to turn it over to Sandra Lindquist, who is the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of the New Orleans Chamber of Commerce. Sandra?
Thank you, Laverne, and thank you everyone for joining us today. I know this past week has been a very difficult one for all of us, and many still have a long road to recovery. So we're really hoping that today's webinar will be able to offer all of us some type of assistance, depending on where you are in the spectrum of need. The New Orleans Chamber is very proud to partner with the Hispanic Chamber of Louisiana and the Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. So let's go ahead and get everything started. And I'm going to turn it over to Myra, who will then turn it over to the panelists.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Myra Pineda, President and CEO of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Louisiana. Thank you, Laverne and Sandra, for collaborating, joining forces. I think together we'll be able to achieve much more in this very difficult time. Our businesses, our communities had already been challenged through the last 18 months of COVID-19, and now we have a very large mountain to climb, but together we can do it. And thank you to our partners at SBA and FEMA for stepping up and saying yes immediately. SBDC, LED, everyone that is doing so much for our business owners, for our communities. Para nuestros dueños de negocios en español, es un honor servirlos. Y estamos aquí para asistirlos como sea posible. Estamos trabajando de forma remota. Thank you again. And I know we have a lot of information to share with you today. And first up, we have Ms. Pamela Mason, and would like to introduce her to bring on her team and all of the important information for you today. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. This is Pamela Mason, Assistant External Affairs Officer, FEMA Private Sector. First of all, let me say that it's good to see the lights coming on in so many places coming back on, and some grocery stores, gas stations, and businesses reopening. But of course, many areas in Southeast Louisiana are still not very safe. We ask that you please follow the instructions of local officials before returning home. FEMA is still working around the clock to support the state of Louisiana and hard-hit communities during this challenging time for so many people. We are working directly with survivors. We want to hear about your needs, and we are helping everyone that we can as quickly as possible. FEMA is providing rapid financial assistance for critical life-saving needs, money for food, water, fuel for transportation, and prescription drugs. We are also providing expedited rental assistance that goes directly to people who had to evacuate any hotel or still need to relocate because of the life-threatening power outages. By law, FEMA is not allowed to duplicate insurance payments. As of this morning, for needs not covered by insurance, FEMA has provided $175 million in grants directly to survivors in Louisiana. That's an increase of about $75 million since our president visited on last Friday. FEMA has approved more than 159,000 households. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Mandy Mitchell, Assistant Secretary, Louisiana Economic Development. Mandy.
Thank you, Pamela, and good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Governor Edwards and LED Secretary Don Pearson, we would like to assure you that we are working as hard as humanly possible around the clock with partners, public and private, to fully restore our infrastructure and the basic essentials: power, clean, safe water, fuel, communication, and food and shelter for those who are displaced. We know that at present, those are the priorities. But as those essential services come back online and as you establish a path to restoring your homes and personal property, your focus will return to long-term recovery and resiliency for your businesses. And LED is here to support you in those efforts. We are grateful for our federal partners, FEMA and SBA, who were reaching out to us before Hurricane Ida even touched down, and who are here with us today to share with you some very critical, useful, and helpful resources. We in Louisiana are a resilient people. We will come back stronger, and the state will be here to support you in a speedy and successful recovery. Back over to you, Pamela. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mandy. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Rocio Estrada, Individual Assistance, Individual and Household Programs, SME, Branch 1, supported by Stacy Rushing, Individual Assistance, Individual and Household Programs Group Supervisor. Ladies, thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Before we get started, let me share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
So
Yes.
before we get started, I wanted to share the individual assistance mission. So our mission is to ensure that disaster survivors have a timely access to a full range of programs and services to maximize their recovery through coordination among locals, state, federal, tribal governments, voluntary agencies, and the private sector. We have a broad variety of programs under the individual assistance. They all target a different aspect of the recovery process, which are better explained within our sequence of delivery. The sequence of delivery establishes the order in which disaster relief agencies and organizations provide assistance to disaster survivors. This is intended to prevent duplication of benefits, maximize available resources, and coordinate efforts to help disaster survivors navigate the recovery process. Well, our first step in our sequence of delivery is the mass care and emergency assistance. They're providing sheltering, feeding, evacuation support, reunification services, households, pets, distribution of commodities. And within that first step of the mass care and emergency assistance in the sequence of delivery, we have the voluntary agencies which support to mass care services, case management, cleanup, debris removal, financial assistance, and donated items. The second step under our sequence of delivery is insurance. And the reason we say insurance is to prevent duplicates of benefits. So FEMA can assist with underinsured and uninsurable items, but we must make sure that we are not duplicating benefits for assistance. And upon request, FEMA may provide temporary housing assistance when there is a significant delay in the settlement. Following the insurance, we have our housing assistance. Our housing assistance has 3 branches. They have temporary housing assistance, repair assistance, and replacement assistance. Within the temporary housing assistance, we have multiple options within the recovery process. So in the temporary housing assistance, we have lodging reimbursement. This is right now being used for Hurricane Ida recovery. This is used when you use hotels and you can submit the documentation for possible reimbursement of the hotel and motel expenses. There's a time frame dependent, and the assistance is limited to the cost of the hotel and the taxes. Within that temporary housing, we do have also rental assistance. As mentioned by Pam, we have expedited the rental assistance. This is a financial temporary housing assistance. We provide assistance through money aid to applicants who are eligible. This is based on the fair market value of HUD, and it does include utilities. Right now, we have expedited initial rental assistance for 1 month for those utility outage and those inaccessible houses. And the second branch under housing assistance, we got home repair. These are for homeowners who did incur damages due to Hurricane Ida. We are sending inspectors out on the field to assess the damages. After that is completed, there's a possible assistance for the home repair. Another assistance that complements the home repair is the home replacement. This is when the damages assessed by our inspectors are above our home repair levels. The fourth step in the sequence of delivery is small business administration. As said before, we do want to prevent duplication of benefits, and we do have some items that are SBA dependents and non-SBA dependents. So we go through the SBA process to ensure that these items are addressed correctly. Our SBA dependents are personal property and transportation, which are, once you apply with SBA, there's a possibility you may be referred back to FEMA for assistance. Following that, we have the SBA non-dependent, which include medical, dental, funeral, moving and storage, and other miscellaneous items. Finally, on our step to recover, we have the unmet needs from voluntary agency for long-term recovery committee. These are our agencies that stay assisting applicants in their long-term and permanent housing plan. Other programs under our individual assistance may be disaster unemployment, crisis and counseling, disaster legal service, and disaster case management. Some eligibility factors are, oh, I can see, I'm sorry. If you incurred a necessary expense or serious need in the disaster area, are denied by all insurance sources, or insurance is significantly delayed, you meet their citizenship requirements, and have a primary resident which is destroyed, uninhabitable, or inaccessible. As we said before, we want to prevent duplication of benefits, and FEMA cannot duplicate benefits with other resources, which includes insurance awards, assistance provided by other agencies, other disaster assistance awards, and other registrations. We encourage all applicants to apply online, by phone, and in person once resources are available on field. Our IDA efforts, as of right now, we have activated our transitional sheltering assistance for hotel sheltering. There are 23 shelters open. We have provided 7 million meals served within the shelters. For the Orleans Parish, we have 111,000 registrations. 92,000 have been referred to IHP assistance, and we have dispersed $59 million for housing assistance and other needs assistance. And that is it for, that concludes our IAA overview. If anybody has any questions.
If everybody would please, if you have a question, if you would type it into the Q&A section, Myra and I will moderate those questions and ask the questions to our FEMA reps.
Yeah, I have a question, Sandra, from Victor Hess. Regarding FEMA assistance for losses not covered by insurance, does that mean FEMA would cover the deductible? Rocio?
Hi, everybody. This is Stacy Rushing. I'm a group supervisor here with FEMA. What we would like to tell everybody is just because you do have insurance, we recommend that you continue through that process with your insurance claim, but also send that information over to FEMA. FEMA will ask, what does your insurance cover? And we will try to review to see if there's an unmet need that FEMA can assist with. Because we are aware that insurance doesn't always cover everything. So for an example, if your deductible, if you get a letter back from your insurance company that tells you you're not eligible because your damages are below your deductible, that is something that FEMA would review your application for possible assistance.
Great.
There are
you.
several others.
Yeah, I'll read Keely. Keely Crowder has a question. Is an SBA loan for home repair a duplication?
As an SBA person, let me answer that unequivocally that no, it's not.
Okay.
And Claudia Upolo says, can you share the contact information for the application process? So maybe one of you can write it in the chat, and I know that we have it in one of the slides as well.
All right, and Colin Ferguson asks, are there any FEMA assistance or other for business owners that opted to pay employees even though they were evacuated or unable to work?
Unfortunately, no. Oh, yes, SBA, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Lucia. Go ahead. I apologize.
Unfortunately, no. Our program is only for individual assistance, and it's on household. That will go through our referral to SBA, which my colleague can answer better those questions.
Sandra, I'm looking at some of the questions which are coming up, all related to the SBA. So perhaps as soon as I present, those answers will become obvious, and I'll make it a point of answering those questions during my presentation. How about that?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Why don't we go ahead and move into SBA's presentation, and then we'll open it up for Q&A at the end for everybody, since there seems to be a duplication here.
And while I make my introductions to the SBA team, if you will, perhaps I could get the sharing screen capability to get my my presentation up. So on this presentation, welcome Mr. Ricks. He's the district director for the New Orleans district office. He'll be speaking briefly. Along with Mr. Ricks is his invaluable deputy, Joanne Lawrence, and also our resource partner, Carmen Sunda. Hello, everyone. Hi, Stacy. And there's too many folks to say hello to, but let me hand it off to Michael. Michael, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. Real brief. Thank you all for putting this on. It's very important that we get together like this, and we're scattered all across the Southeast. And you know, we've been here before, and we'll get through it again. But I'm really just want to welcome everybody and thank you for taking time out of your day, and to remind you all that you do have local resources here in the city. If you have any issues or problems, you can, of course, reach out to me or Joe or Carmen here in the greater New Orleans area, who is the SBDC that supports this. You know, we also have the Women's Business Center that can assist you as well as our SCORE chapter. So we have local resources here. If you need assistance, please reach out to us, and we can we'll do the best we can to help you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I want to thank the chambers for putting this together, and thank FEMA for joining us today. We are open for business. We're teleworking. We may be all across the country, but we do have access to internet and to our phones. So we want you to make sure that you reach out to SBA. So the district office personnel, as well as Sushil, who will be in town shortly, to assist us with getting you back on track. So just to know that you do have the support of the Louisiana district office that's here to assist you. And some of you may still be dealing with things from the pandemic. So just know that we're here to assist you with that as well. Thank you so much, guys.
Hello, Stacy. Hello, Pam. Hello, Mandy. And the rest of our team. We appreciate your patronage, hospitality, in creating not only advocacy opportunities, but awareness opportunities. Look forward to working with one and all. As Joanne mentioned, as soon as we get the approvals from HQ, headquarters from DC, that we're able to travel, there'll be boots on the ground to assist with the day-to-day interactions, whether it be webinar when we're in town or town hall meetings face-to-face, but that's something that we're waiting for some level of clarity. So let me, without further ado, see if I can share my screen and bring up my presentation, which is right there. If one of you could just tell me that you stream my screen, I appreciate it.
We see it.
Perfect. Let me see if I can't maximize it so that it's larger. Hello, everyone. My name is Sushil Kumar with the Office of Disaster Assistance, a New Orleans native, live in California. It's a pleasure to serve even under these circumstances, especially under these circumstances. And my role is to create an awareness for the programs that the SBA offers. So for most folks on this call, you are very used to hearing SBA when it comes to 7A loans or 504 loans. And for those folks that know what a 7A is, and for the ones that don't, 7A basically is an expansion, real estate and working capital requirements. That falls into Mike's lane, if you will. He probably will talk about it a little later. 504 is when it's huge. I mean, we're talking about huge real estate, and me being a commercial banker in the past, love doing 7A 504 loans, and they continue to serve. But unlike my commercial banking brethren, the Office of Disaster Assistance offer loans, subsidized low interest rates as low as 1.563%. That's 1.563%, fixed for a 30-year term maximum, not all qualify, no fees, no prepayment penalty, no cost to apply. And it is really the very first step in your recovery process after you register with FEMA. For those folks who wonder why you have to take a loan out, please note that in every disaster, your first line of defense is always an insurance policy. In the absence of an insurance policy or shortage of insurance policies, our federal partners program comes in, FEMA and the SBA. We're in town very specifically because the state of Louisiana applied through FEMA to assist the needs of the many, because the resources available for the state to meet the demands of Hurricane Ida were left unmet. So a combination of FEMA grants and SBA loans is supposed to theoretically and factually meet the needs that were created, unfortunately, by Hurricane Ida. So our loans, subsidized loans, are not only for renters for personal property, including cars, loans to repair homes, and also homeowners and for their personal property, businesses of all sizes, a combination of physical damages and economic injury, whether or not you actually had physical damages. You get to split the $2 million evenly, or if you have more economic injury or less physical damages, or some combination between. And last but not least, most private nonprofits. For those folks on the call who are savvy enough to know, FEMA takes care of, through their public assistance program, the essential nature nonprofits. Other ones are asked to apply with the SBA, be turned down for the FEMA folks to consider them for their grants. This is where I work when we're in the office, but currently we're all teleworking. So I'm in Sacramento. If and when we return back to work anytime soon, that's where I'll be going back to. Our administrator, Ms. Isabel Casillas Guzman. And if someone were to ask me, what is our role? It's listed in bullet point number 2. That is, we are the largest source of funds, federal assistance-wise, to help private property owners pay for disaster losses not covered by insurance or any other recoveries. That word basically means that you got money from an agency. A lot of times during these types of severe crises, local community firms step up and offer you a grant. And if they offer you a grant, that means they have contributed to mitigating your need that was created by the disaster. So for example, if the Red Cross gives you $5,000, we'll take that off the top, knowing that $5,000 was paid to you, and then the rest unmet need is the challenge that we, FEMA and SBA, will look to mitigate. We covered the bullet point number 2, that we offer low interest loans to businesses of all sizes, private nonprofits, homeowners and renters. This is our declaration map. Everything in the bright orange is the affected area. I'm your primary point of contact. Feel free to contact me, and my number is available through the district office and through the various chambers. They'll find me. And the contiguous parishes, Concordia, Avoyelles, St. Landry, Lafayette, and Vermilion, or Million, as I'm told, the correct pronunciation, only can apply for economic injury. That is, businesses that count on revenues that come from the deep orange side, they can only apply for that specific program part. Our program is there to offer low interest rates. We mentioned 1.56% for homeowners, not only for their personal property, but also for their home repairs, rehabilitation, if you will. Maximum term is 30 years. And this is a cash flow loan. In other words, basically, if you made $1,000 in revenue and had $300 in expenses, the equation really comes down to, can your $700 left over repay the sums of money that you're borrowing, which is really a function of your damages, over a maximum 30-year term. And last bullet point is, on a case-by-case basis, we're able to refinance your first mortgage. I'll get into that momentarily. As my able federal partner, Lucio, mentioned, disaster losses not compensated by insurance, and so on and so forth. So let me give you an example. We have about 140 folks on the phone call. I am sure that every one of you has insurance as we speak. But guess what? Off the bat, all of us currently are underinsured. And I can tell you the answer why. Because insurance companies never make you whole dollar for dollar. There's always deductible. There's always this thing called depreciation. And there's always some other clause that insurance companies will kick in. So the possibility of getting $1 worth of recoveries for $1 worth of damages is unheard of or practically not possible. That's where we step in. We step in to cover the parts that are not covered by insurance, because insurance is your first line of defense. And to make matters better, while you are waiting for your check from the insurance company to be sent your way, sometimes it could be very quick, other times it could be longer. We make sure that you are made whole through a provision called assignment of insurance proceeds. So using my esteemed District Director, Michael Ricks, as an example, let's say Mike gets $100,000 worth of damages, as insurance only covers 70, which means potentially he has $30,000 worth of unmet needs. If he qualifies for the $30,000, we will expand the loan amount to $100,000, thereby allowing for the sum of insurance proceeds to come our way and paid down with no prepayment penalty. And Mike is made whole, and he has the peace of mind to know that he can go about his repair business, rehabilitation business, recovery business, without having to worry about checks coming his way. And last but not least, there is an insurance requirement on the loan so that the reliance on future costs is restricted. If you have not maintained your insurance in line, chances are, along with back child support, federal income tax non-payment, that your loan could be turned down. There are 3 steps to the SBA disaster assistance, and let me get to that really quick. First is the loan application, along with the website, phone number, and our loan portal, if you will. I briefly mentioned up front the very first step. Every single person on this call, whether they be a business owner, and I'll separate that for a second, and private nonprofits also. If you are a business owner that is a homeowner also, or if you're a business owner that's a renter, please make sure you register with Fema, because they are your safe, secure, sanitary condition grant-making agency. Their role is to make sure that you are made whole and made safe and secure, so that you can continue about your life. 1-800-621-FEMA is the number you would call. Then you are referred over to the SBA based on the questions that you answered. Let me give you some percentages. On average, the past year, a person that has registered with FEMA has a 63% to 83% probability, and I give you a range, a high and the low, of being referred over to the SBA. Which basically means if Mike is referred over to the SBA and he chooses not to apply, the recovery process stops right there. If you are referred and go through the SBA process and turn down, we refer you back to the other needs assistance program with FEMA. So it's a requirement that if you are a homeowner or renter, that you register with FEMA and be turned down by the SBA to go to the other needs assistance. Now, I'm going to bring the businesses and nonprofits back into the equation. As much as you are encouraged to register with FEMA, FEMA does not have a lending program. So you need to apply with the SBA sooner than later directly. I would encourage you to register, but as a business, your focus would be to apply with us at www.disasterassistance.gov. All there you'll see apply online also. And then you'll see our disaster loan assistance.sba.gov/ELA to apply with our program. So there is no lending program through FEMA, so please make sure that you apply with us. You'll see our breakout, businesses and nonprofits in column 2 and homeowners and renters in column 3. So anything that damaged your real estate, machinery, equipment, inventory, any business assets up to $2 million. Again, no duplication of benefits, anything net of what the insurance company covers, that's what we're able to cover, okay? The maximum loan amount is $2 million. And yes, there's money for mitigation against future damages. And for all those details, I'll be glad to send you additional information without taking up too much time on this particular call. The maximum loan term is 30 years. As we mentioned, there is mitigation money available. Smack in the middle, it talks about 20% of the total amount of physical damages. So if Mike's property had $100,000 worth of damages on his business property, they automatically add 20% of that. And if you can cash flow $120,000 over a 30-year term through your business cash flow, for the most part, the loan is yours. We covered this briefly in our previous slide. Take a moment to have you folks read through this while I gather my breath also. Bullet point number 3 is huge. For those folks who believe that they take the loan, insure for a while, drop it, they'll find themselves in harm's way in the future. We had a few situations in Southeast Texas a couple of years back where I've had the privilege of serving them also, where they covered it after Hurricane Harvey for the first year and a half, and then they let it go. We don't monitor it, but if we come back and you want to apply, you would need to apply, by the way, because insurance should take care of your future damage needs. If you do apply and we find out that there was an issue, that you didn't cover the property with the appropriate insurance, it's an automatic turn down. This is where my good friend Carmen comes in. Carmen, a few words on your part as to your role.
Thank you, Cecile. We are an assistance center. We're funded by the SBA. I'm hosted by Xavier University of Louisiana, so we're right in the greater New Orleans area. Some of you already know who we are because we've been assisting businesses through the COVID disaster for the last 18, 19 months. Our role in all these disasters is to assist you with documentation, particularly one-on-one assistance with all funding and financial relief sources and documentation. Sometimes getting all your packaging together is daunting. This is what we're really good at. We are really, really good at putting the funding packages together. We also will help you with the strategic recovery plan. And if you are denied, we've gotten pretty good at reconsiderations for denials and figuring out what the problem may or may not be and helping you with that. And we stand ready. We will be working with SBA district office and all of our resource partners and also Cecile in the coming months. Thank you, Cecile.
But of course, thank you, Carmen. Before I move to the next slide, do we, Sandra, Myra, and Laverne, do we have anyone from the Women's Business Center on this call? Or Mike and Joanne, do we know?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, we
No
don't.
issue. Okay, no issue. These 4 agencies listed serve an invaluable role in the way SBA reaches out to the various nooks and crannies of small business. They're vital, they're free, and Carmen reports to Carla Holland out of the state office in Monroe, and they do an absolutely fantastic job in meeting the needs of the many. Appreciate you guys, and look forward to continue working with you and the excellent working relationship that we have, Carmen. We briefly talked about the SBDC, the SCORE chapters, the VBOC. Basically, what you see here, folks, is a segmentation of the population. So veterans, like Mike, can reach out to the Veterans Business Outreach Center. Thank you for your service, Mike. Americans SBDC, the SCORE chapters, and the Women's Business Center. These folks, we all know women make decisions differently, and their approach to business is different. So to meet the needs of Women's Business Center, they have a team. Joanne, would you briefly like to talk about classification, if you will?
Sure. So with our Women's Business Resource Center, they're there to assist all small businesses, not just women business owners, but they can assist you like with the pandemic. They assisted in pivoting. They assisted with, working up packages for loans, as well as updating your business plan. They have a section within their organization where they focus on working with construction firms. So they have people in place who can assist you in doing takeoffs. So they're there with us, working with us and conducting webinars. We did so much as a result of the pandemic and Restaurant Revitalization Fund program. So they worked hand in hand with SBA. So even though it's the Women's Business Resource Center, they work with all small businesses.
Very eloquent, Joanne. I appreciate it. I couldn't have done it any
you.
better. Thanks for doing that. And Classy Duncan is your contact person there. Any further questions, feel free to reach out to the district office. This particular slide made me think of the word capital access, using the buzzword for businesses. Capital access is the most singular hard point to overcome, which is why the folks at LED are on the call, which is why our resource partner are on the call, because capital access, depending on the segmentation of the public, is the most critical obstacle, if you will, that stops people from flourishing. So it's our role at the SBA, especially in the disaster recovery, where the money comes directly from the Office of the Treasury, to meet the needs of the many post-disaster. Some of the things that the SBDC talks about. Carmen, perhaps you could jump on this real quick because it is right in your lane, if you will.
Yes. Anyone that will be declined will be automatically sent to resource partners. And what we will do is we'll work one-on-one with the client and really assess their entire situation, everything, just as Joanne was talking about with business plans, financials, whatever they need help with. And so one of the things we've also been doing, as you said, with the reconsiderations, is helping the client figure out why they were denied. And yes, we have had some COVID denials, and then 6 months later, we're able to get the reconsideration and then approved. So basically, we are a free consulting service, and we will deal with all aspects of whatever is going on in the business owner's life with his business, employees, management, marketing, whatever it takes to get that business sustainable and profitable again.
Thank you, Carmen. I'm bumping against my own self-imposed 20-minute limit. I'll try to rush through the rest. Here is a startling statistic that absolutely should, and it does, give me the chills every time I repeat it. 1 in 5 businesses that stay closed for the first 5 days of a natural disaster has a 90% probability that they will not open at the end of the year. So folks that are going through closed businesses as we speak because of power, chances are that there might be a situation that might, we don't want to say the rest. Please apply for economic injury disaster loans so that we can help prop up your business. This is one page all with contact information and phone numbers for the benefits of the many. Here's the rest of the slide, if you will. Let me enlarge it. This is what we call our fact sheet. A couple of very important deadlines. October 28th is our deadline for physical damages. What does that mean? You have 60 days to get your application into the SBA. You have 60 days to register with FEMA. I've mentioned this before, homeowners and renters, please register with FEMA first and then apply with the SBA. You're referred over to the SBA, please make sure that you do follow through. Otherwise, it's a hard stop. The economic injury is the 31st of May in 2022. Let me take you further down to interest rates. The interest rate for business loans is 2.855%. and the maximum is 5.71. 98% of all loans made are the low interest rate. And for economic injury, it's the same interest rate, if you will. Let me go back to the parishes. Ascension through West Feliciana, we had the map, and there's economic injury for the ones on the west side of Oils to Vermilion, and then the Mississippi counties of Meade, Hancock, Marion, Pearl River, Pike, Walthall, and Wilkinson. Loan limits, $2 million. Economic injury, you can split it between your needs for economic injury, which is defined as a revenue shortfall that creates a pain below the line. What do I mean by below the line? Sales minus cost of goods sold, depending if you make a widget, and I'm sure it's a different taxonomy for nonprofits, it's cost of sales for other people. Anything below the gross profit, gross margins, is what I mean by below the line. The inability to meet those ongoing recurring expenses to maintain your business is what we call economic injury. If you can't pay it as a result of Hurricane Ida, we're very much there, including payroll, healthcare, whatever else you make normal and customary. That's what we're there for. We encourage you to apply because that statistic of 90% failure rate after the end of the first year should be startling enough to make sure that you don't want to go out of business and apply sooner than later. We talked about uninsured losses. Ineligible properties include secondary homes unless you're a commercial real estate owner, in which case a Schedule E person can apply and they become a business, and their maximum loan limits are $2 million. Pleasure boats, airplanes, RVs, and similar property are not eligible. And I briefly did cover the non-compliance of previous terms may render you ineligible. We talked about funding mitigation. We talked about refinancing. Let me cover that in just a modest detail, which basically means if Mike has a $100,000 mortgage and the cost of repairs is about 70, let's call it 70. That criteria meets the threshold of it needs to be below 200. After that, if he has substantial damage defined as 40% or more of the value of the property, he plans on repairing on the property, there's evidence of a first mortgage, and he plans on staying, we can refinance the entire amount of $170,000 at the interest rate that I shared with you before at 1.563%. That puts you in the right alleyway, if you will, the right channel, the right silo to be on the way to refinance your entire mortgage indebtedness. So talk to your loan officer about the details, and on a case-by-case basis, if you want to relocate, that also is a provision that we've talked about. Let's go further. Let me wrap it up. Next few slides. This is primarily the resource partner flyer with our locations statewide. We listed it statewide because people have evacuated statewide. Feel free to contact them specifically. This is part of the presentation that the Chamber will pass on. Women's Business Center and the VBOC down below. Again, this summarizes in one page what we're about. Phone numbers for contact, 3 steps, and the slide. With that, I hand it back. My apologies for going over by 5 minutes, or I should say 4 minutes. And it's back to you. And let me stop the share. Let me see if I can do this. Stop share. I'm back.
We have quite a few questions in the chat and the Q&A section, so maybe we can go through those. Sushil, although your presentation has been so thorough, I know many of them have been answered. So let me start, and then Sandra can take over. Okay. It says, if a business did apply for SBA loan previously for other situations, do we start a new application for IDA?
Short answer is yes. If you have insurance coverage, you don't need to, because you would then go back to the insurance company and say to them, guess what? I've had damages. I have insurance to cover me. Would you please let me know what my deductibles are and apply for the deductible, not the entire loan. For economic injury, of course you can. So you don't need to duplicate your loan package, because the idea of an insurance was exactly that. They'll take care of your new and ever-present needs.
So I have a question that's several questions kind of wrapped up into one question that's going to be to Rocio and to you, Sushil. So if I understand this correctly, everyone should go to the FEMA site first, which is disasterassistance.gov, apply for FEMA, and from there, you'll also be directed to SBA. Is that correct?
That's
Yes,
exactly
correct.
Okay. So
And
whether
let me-
you're a homeowner or a business, you should do that?
Yes, ma'am. Correct. You should all apply to FEMA first.
And if you are a rental, like if you rent, do you do that as well?
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
Okay, so everyone should go through that portal first.
Yes.
Okay, and then the
Let me-
next question kind of, oh,
And
Sushil, go ahead.
Sandra,
Yeah.
Let me be even more specific. My good friend Rocio is correct. The first, and here's the vernacular I'd like to use: register with FEMA, apply with SBA.
Okay,
That's a vernacular I'd like to use for the purposes of delineating. Okay, FEMA is your end all be all for homeowners and renters. And Rocio, don't beat me up too hard for this, or Stacy, or Pamela. We encourage business owners to register with FEMA, but there isn't a requirement to do so. Because here's what we don't want to do. My federal partners, my brethren, FEMA, doesn't have a lending program.
right, okay.
So hence the demarcation, correct, Rocio?
Correct. Yes, you are correct.
Okay,
So,
great.
Jill, this is Laverne in regards to and I may be jumping ahead here in regards to the generators and the chainsaws, sure, which a number of our small businesses probably would qualify for. Would you still would encourage everyone to still go through FEMA, even though they don't have to, but you would encourage it, right?
Absolutely. Every single time and twice on Sunday, as the expression goes.
Okay, Sushil, I have another question here. What resources are available to small businesses in order to make payroll when the small business does not have business interruption insurance and is unable to resume operations at this time?
Apply for the economic injury disaster loan.
Okay,
That is specifically meant to make payroll. There's a grace period for the first 5 months to get the normalcy back. And folks, as soon as this call is over, I will pass on FEMA's. You know what? Perhaps Stacy and Pam could pass this on, or Rocio could pass it on. There was a news release that you folks sent out that I was copied on. Hurricane Ida survivors may be eligible for generator and chainsaw reimbursement. So if you don't mind sending that to the rest of the team instead of it coming from me.
If I'm not mistaken, Carmen just posted it on the chat.
yeah,
Oh, right on,
Yes.
Carmen.
great. There's
And I
another
sent it out
question
to our
here.
members earlier today, so we've received it already, so thank you.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. I know all of our organizations have resource pages with all of the information from FEMA, SBA, all the contacts. So please, that's the value of being connected to a network like a Chamber of Commerce, that we can always connect it to the right agency and get that information out. It says here, in cases where the insurance had elapsed or expired at the time of the disaster, the owner can apply for disaster assistance?
Help me understand what that means, insurance lapse.
I'm sure they mean
They
the
didn't
insurance had expired, so there was no insurance in place at that time.
Yeah, that,
So,
that makes
yes.
it that makes it completely uninsured. Correct, Rocio.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay, so there's another question. Okay, it says for the rental properties, how can they apply for assistance for rental properties?
It's a business loan, and physical damages, since it's a business loan, the maximum is $2 million. So if they have a portfolio of properties that they are trying to repair around the greater New Orleans region, they can apply to the maximum, get the physical damages taken care of, and then we would underwrite the cost of their tenant interruption of revenue. In other words, tenant can't move in during the time and they don't have any rental income coming. We would underwrite and see if their historical basis of rental income can cash flow the portion that they're needing to repair right now. And that would be
I
at
have,
the
I have
discount rate of
several
2.8%.
questions around the same information here. That last piece of information that you provided regarding the refinancing and the mortgage, could you
Okay.
maybe clarify a little? For example, they would go to their banker, correct? That's, their banking relationship and start with SBA, but then go to their banking relationship for the total refinance, or how would that work?
No, ma'am, everything is through the SBA. The banking relationship a lot of times is, pardon the expression, underwater because the collateral has been damaged, right?
Mhm.
So a lot of times, being a banker myself and having known this in the past, a lot of times when the absence of collateral makes the ability to lend obliterated. Now you're looking at to borrow at an unsecured basis. If you're borrowing on an unsecured basis, the rates are nowhere near the 1.563%. So the banking part is really now, for most people, they're out of question. So the refinance portion that you asked has everything to do with the SBA. So using you as an example, Myra, you have an existing mortgage with, let's say, a Gulf Coast Bank for $100,000. The damages to the property is, let's say, $70,000. Okay, so we cannot make loans over $200,000, period, because that's a statutory maximum. So the loan dollar amounts have met the first threshold. It cannot be more than 200 because it's 170. The next set of factors, there are many others. This is just the big picture, okay? You're planning on staying in the property, which makes you a homeowner, right? You're planning on repairing the property because that's what you need to do. There's evidence of a first mortgage, like a mortgage deed or trust, right? And the substantial damage category, it's, over 40% damage for the value of the property, okay? If you meet that initial criterion, the SBA, after helping you with the initial 70,000, can help you pay off the 100,000, and now you're making one payment for $170,000 back to the SBA, and we can refinance that, all for the 1.563% interest rate. Has nothing to do with banking.
Okay, excellent. Sandra, you want to take over for some of the other questions, or you want me to continue?
I think there was one that we might not have covered about several large trees that fell. Will FEMA cover expenses to clear out the trees?
We do have debris removal assistance, and we do have a chainsaw reimbursement in place. So please do register, and once that is in place, an eligibility letter will be sent out if that is the decision.
And what is the turnaround time for that? Garcia, you're on mute.
So you got 7 to 14 days from initial inspection. Sorry for that.
That's okay. And then also, someone texted me this question. For hotel reimbursement, there was a rumor that hotel reimbursement would only be covered from like September 2nd going forward. Will hotel reimbursements for starting the day of the hurricane and evacuation also be covered?
From the date of the declaration, which is August 29th, actually.
Okay. And people need to go to a website to find which hotels are eligible for reimbursement, correct?
So that you're combining two programs. You're combining TSA and lodging reimbursement. So lodging reimbursement is just submitting the documents to your registration. Now TSA is the ones that you locate the hotels. So you're combining the registration,
Gotcha,
the
for future
assistance.
stuff.
Yes. correct.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Thank you.
I have
Myra,
a
you want to go
question.
ahead?
I have a
Is that-
question here regarding the food in the refrigerators. Is that in any way reimbursed, taken into consideration?
No, we do not reimburse food loss, but we do have critical needs assistance that has been activated. That's why we're encouraging people to register as soon as possible. Assistance is still being dispersed as we speak of right now. So please do register so we can keep moving money forward, all right?
And with that, you're referring to those $500 that are being directly deposited, right?
Yes, correct. That covers food loss. It can cover clothing, shelter, gas, but it goes all through critical needs.
Excellent.
Hey, Myra. Or
Yes,
Sandra. Yeah,
I'm
any one of you. As I review some of the questions that apply to SBA, I came across one that is specific for FEMA. May I read it out to them and then address the other SBA question?
Absolutely.
Hey,
Absolutely.
Rocio, I saw something in there that says, how does a small business register with FEMA?
It's just like the regular registration process. You can call our 1-800 number, or no, yeah, that's it. You call the 1-800 number and then register it as business only, and then you will be referred to SBA.
Okay.
Now,
Now,
I
there
see
was
a question, I see a question that's, it seemed like several, and that is in regards, if you applied for COVID, right, through SBA, can you apply again for the disaster?
Absolutely. I was going to take that real quick. Are the disaster idle applications from Louisiana business owners going to be processed through the same process as COVID idle? No. Will Louisiana business owners fall in line behind the tens of thousands of business owners who are currently stuck in the idle application process? That's also a no. Then as an anonymous attendee says, can we refinance our 7A SBA loan with a low interest loan? No, that's one of the ineligible use of proceeds. You cannot use a working capital loan for the purposes of paying another loan to get ahead. This is supposed to keep you in business. And then when things get better, you can always ask assistance from your conventional bank or Mike's office for additional details.
There are other questions.
Yes, of course.
Okay, Michelle, are the disaster, no, you just answered that one.
Yeah, Michelle is one that says, what is the timeline for the Louisiana nonprofit and small business assistance program approvals? I don't think I understand Michelle's question there. Is there a program that the governor's offices has rolled out? Is that what they're talking about?
Maybe they can clarify their question.
Then she asks a question right below. Michelle is a very prolific question asker. How long should Louisiana businesses expect the processing for disaster idle applications to take? Generally speaking, we recommend 3 to 4 weeks, start to finish for funding. Please allow for all kinds of situations to go south, because as Murphy's Law goes into effect, as you know, what can go wrong will go wrong at the worst possible time. So 3 to 4 weeks is what I would recommend, but have a bit of a buffer there for the purposes of managing expectations. I'm trying not to be humorous in a very, very somber situation, but patience is the key in this type of environment. Go ahead, Myra.
I have a question from Franceli Peña.
Question.
I'm trying to apply to the SBA and I get to step 3. It doesn't recognize my information after the photos. It doesn't recognize my information, and I'm sure I've entered them correctly. What do you recommend?
1-800-659-2955.
Do you mind
1-800
putting that number in the chat, Cecile? And I
Of
think I
course.
can interpret Ms. Thomas' question. So she's a church nonprofit. I gather that she is renting from someone as a church and serving in a nonprofit capacity, and she does not have any renter insurance, and they lost everything. So should they still apply for FEMA or SBA?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean, the catch-all sweeping statement, Mandy could help me with this also. She's with the LED and a huge economic engine, if you will, for the benefits of many. Anyone that has any type of assistance that they need, the federal partners need to be tapped. Correct, Mandy?
Yes, that's a very good point. Is just, reach out to the federal partners, the SBA and FEMA. I think someone said it on this call that obviously your own insurance is your first line of defense. in recovering from any sort of disaster. But that's really why the federal government has in place FEMA and SBA. They really are really strong partners. And as I mentioned in the opening, they were reaching out to Louisiana officials before the storm hit us. And so, I mean, we're the backstop at the state level. We have resources which you all are aware of that we partner with you all from day to day. And many on the call are intermediaries of ours at LED. So for your day-to-day needs and growing your business or starting a business, but in disaster times, we need to definitely rely heavily upon the offerings and programs that SBA and FEMA have to offer.
And to put that in a nice little bow, in addition to what Mandy mentioned, the federal partners, the chambers, the Louisiana Economic Development, the SBDCs, the WBCs, these and many other organizations, hello, Stacy, good to see you again, serve as your bedrock, as your foundation to get the ball going. Amongst us are the resources that businesses need to thrive in this very inhospitable environment. Reach out to us. We all have each other's phone numbers. We'll put you on the right path because that's what it's about. Small business is the engine of the economy, source of employment. Products and widgets need to be made so that people can get back to normalcy. And our role at SBA is to help back with that normalcy.
Hi,
Yeah.
this is Pam Mason. I'd like to ask Stacy to elaborate on lodging reimbursement. That's a major question that many are having at this time. So Stacy, if you could give a little more information about that, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pamela. So let me just go in a little bit further on the lodging reimbursement program that FEMA offers. So for one, FEMA can provide lodging reimbursement for applicants who incur out-of-pocket temporary lodging expenses due to damage that affects their home, their primary residence. Eligible expenses will include the cost of the room and taxes charged by the hotel or other lodging providers. So it's not going to cover movie rentals, but it will cover the taxes and the room. Lodging expense reimbursement does not count towards the financial housing assistance maximum. So that's important because there is, programs do have maximums, but the lodging reimbursement does not count towards that maximum. So lodging may be awarded from the start date of the incident. Me and Rocio want to make sure that we correct that. The start date of the incident period for this disaster, Hurricane Ida, is going to be August 26th. So if you incurred lodging expenses starting August 26th and moving forward, you may submit those receipts for reimbursement. You have to register. You got to have a registration on file in order to do that. We were able to acquire an expanded waiver for this disaster, which allows us to pay up to 30 days from the date that we provide initial rental assistance if you have home damages. So of course you have to meet the normal eligibility requirements within the program. So you have to be a citizen, a qualified alien, or national. And you have to have primary residence within the area. You have to have insurance cannot cover those losses. So I just want to make sure to reiterate that you should submit those receipts for reimbursement, and you can upload those to your file. I seen a question earlier that talked about how would I submit my documents in order to be have those documents reviewed. You can upload them. You can create a disaster assistance online account and upload the documents, and they come through fairly quickly. You can also fax them. Our fax number, if anybody has a pen available, it's 1-800-827-8112. We ask that you do put your FEMA registration number and your name on all of your faxes. It makes it a little bit easier to make sure that that gets tagged to your file.
Stacy, do you mind putting that number in the chat, please, if you don't mind?
Absolutely. Yep, we'll do it right now.
And also, I don't know, Sandra and Mara, have you all received any type of fact sheet in regards to the lodging? Because I don't recall.
No, I have not.
I have not.
Yeah, so if you all can send that, that's probably why that's one of the major questions and maybe some confusion. So if you all can send that information, will be greatly appreciated. And then Mandy, I have a question for you, Sandra and Myra, if you don't mind me asking. In regards to small businesses, one of the main questions that we have been asked is business opportunities in regards to this disaster. And I know that the municipalities, of course, already had a number of their contracts in place, but they're going to be looking for subs. And there was an article not too long ago, or interview on CNN, where we had one of our key business owners here was talking about the concerns of minorities taking advantage of, business opportunities. So as the undersecretary for LED, how have you all began to have any discussions in regards to identifying those opportunities in regards to disaster for small minority-owned businesses?
Sure. So we have disaster procurement protocol currently underway, and the GOSEP leads all emergency procurement, the Governor's Office of Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness, in partnership with the Office of State Procurement. And under Governor Edwards' leadership and direction, we have worked very hard to ensure that there are opportunities for women and minority-owned businesses to learn about opportunities to bid. And as you can imagine, during disaster times, things are happening very quickly. So if there's a need for something, an RFQ or an RFP may be posted and there'll be a quick turnaround. But there is a website, and as we're talking, I'm looking for it. I'm going to post it in the chat for folks to sign up to be notified when procurements are happening. But it's the LAPAC website for the state. But you can sign up as a small business owner to be notified anytime there are procurements opportunities or needs during disaster times, and compete for those opportunities. And it does help if a business is Hudson certified. As we all know, that is the state's program to identify Louisiana-based small businesses. So the Hudson certification is something that LED administers the certification for that. That affords businesses additional points, up to 10 additional points on any response that they submit for state government procurement. And then also under DOTD, DOTD actually has a DBE program that tracks federal requirements for doing business with women and minorities. And so before we wrap up the call, I'm going to post the link in the chat to where you can sign up to be notified for procurement opportunities. But as always, if there are questions, I'd be happy to serve as a resource for that. You all sometimes do refer businesses to me. I handled one just a couple of days ago, dealing with the need for assistance with generators being deployed. So I am also willing to serve as a point of contact to help make sure people know where to go to sign up to receive these notifications.
And if there's any way that that information can also be sent to us on a regular basis, that we receive it from other agencies, that would be important, because I know we put out a newsletter every 2 weeks on procurement opportunities for the cities and area. So I'm not sure that we're receiving everything from the state.
Yeah, same here.
May I add something from the federal side, please? And that is that we've been in communication with FEMA, even while people were evacuating on Saturday and on Sunday and Monday. We were in touch with the FEMA contracting office, providing them names of firms who were 8A certified, woman-owned small business certified, HubZone, and veteran-owned small businesses. So working with the FEMA contracting office in Baton Rouge, we were able to get several contracts awarded. So SBA has been very involved with ensuring that our local businesses, take part in the cleanup, but also in the recovery.
Thank you.
And Mara, if I can take a personal privilege here, just acknowledge that we have a representative with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation. I'm not sure if she is
Inez is here.
on here, but thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate that. If there are, did you all want to have a couple of more questions, Sandra, or do we want to just?
I think we've gotten to most of the, I think we've gotten to most of all the questions. And then I believe everybody has posted their contact information in either the Q&A and chats. So if any other additional questions are needed, reach out to either the SBA, FEMA, LED, or Carmen with the SBDC directly. And as we said earlier, we will be sharing the information that was posted, and this has been recorded.
And by the way, in parting, I'd like to share some numbers with you folks. 222 homeowners and renters loans so far for 8.378 million. A small smidgen, but making valuable progress. Businesses take a little longer, so don't have any business approvals, but as soon as they are, we'll let you folks know. Register with FEMA, apply with the SBA folks. If you're not in a position to take advantage of our programs, that means you're fortunate enough not to have had damages. Please advocate. If you're not advocating, be an applicant. I appreciate it. Thank you to Ben Johnson, Sandra, Laverne, Myra, and so many in this call. Appreciate it. Mandy, LED, and the district office. It's a pleasure to serve all of you, and look forward to working with you folks when I'm in town. And anybody needs to get a hold of me, I'm sure you can find the number or reach me through the chat. Thank you for the privilege of serving all of you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Sushil.
very much on behalf of FEMA to all of you for inviting us. We look forward to our continued work with SBA and Sushil. Thank you, Mandy. It was great meeting you, and I'm sure we'll be in touch. And thank you so very much to Stacy and Rocio for being with us today. Thank you for the opportunity.
Hey, Pamela,
Yes.
I do want to share with you and Stacy that Rocio is very eloquent, very soft-spoken, and very, very articulate. Certainly appreciate her presence on the call.
Thank you.
And I just want to thank Sandra and Laverne and Myra. Y'all have been partners for Louisiana Economic Development since before COVID, but really working with you all through the Recovery Louisiana Commission and several other ventures through that. We appreciate the partnership, and definitely it's critical for Governor John Bel Edwards that we have a truly inclusive economy in Louisiana. And so thank you all for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we thank the governor as well for his hard work, especially under the current situation with the hurricane and then with COVID. So I know it's a very heavy lift. But I'm going to go ahead and close and just say that I hope that we were able to answer all of your questions. And as you can see in the chat, between the New Orleans and the Hispanic and NORBCC, we will make sure that all of your questions were answered and send them to the appropriate agencies. So again, thank you to SBA, FEMA, LED, and to all other agencies. Carmen, of course, you and I have known each other since the days that I had hair. So thank you again, all of you. Gotta have a little sense of humor under these current situations, right?
Hey, Laverne.
Here at NRBCC, of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to visit our website, which is www.nrbchamber.org. We'd be more than glad to try to answer any of the questions that you may have. We are sending information out on a regular basis. Our website has storm update that gives you valuable and accurate information. And that's why we thought it was so important for us to have this webinar, because I know that there's a lot of misinformation out there, and we want to make sure that our members are getting correct information. So if there isn't anything else, any other remarks from Myra and Sandra?
Laverne?
No, I'd like to thank everyone again for being here, for taking the time, and especially to Tinola and their team of, very professional translators, because it was very critical to get the information out to our Hispanic community that feels more comfortable in their native language. So thank you very much for that, Andrew Defoe and your team, and Sandra Laverne, and all of our partners and agencies that participated today. We will definitely have to repeat this as more information, comes out, and the need is going to be for, an extended time. So I look forward to our second one in the near future.
Hey,
And I know
Laverne?
that some of the people ask about the being recorded. It is, I understand this is a very fluid situation. So if it is on our website, we'll be up for maybe just 24 hours because information constantly is changing. So it will be up on our website probably as soon as we receive it, probably like 24 hours. Because we want to make sure that you're getting accurate information. So Sheila, I know that you're trying to say something.
There was one question that was asked by Dominique about a half an hour ago about deductibles. That falls in our lane in terms of being able to cover it. And second, I wanted to make sure that you wanted to share with the rest of the team that the loss of hair was not primarily because of interaction with Carmen, because we don't want the sister to feel bad.
Very funny, Sheila. Sandra, you have anything to say on behalf of the New Orleans Chamber?
On behalf of the New Orleans Chamber, just want to reiterate what Myra said. Really appreciate the partnership with the Hispanic Chamber and the Black Chamber. And thank you to all of our partners with FEMA, SBA, SBDC, LED. This is a joint effort to help our community recover, and it takes all of us. So it's lovely to have us all working together and on the same page.
Absolutely. So again, on behalf of the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors and staff, thank you so much for joining today's webinar. Please stay tuned and stay in touch on our websites as we update information on a regular basis. And again, we're here to assist. I thank you, all of our partners. And again, we will be doing this very soon. So God bless you all. Be safe. And let's keep each other in prayer. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.